Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer Science Academy Bengaluru. This is the daily news analysis. Today, that is on 26th August 2025, we are going to discuss some important articles from prelims, mains as well as interview perspective. So, the first article is from the Hindu text and context, that is India's fossils at risk. It talks about issues with respect to Indian fossils and what you should do to preserve them. So it is significant from GS1 culture and heritage and also GS2 governance, where there is a need for legal and institutional framework. So discovery and significance. In 2024, paleontologists discovered Vasuki indicus. What is this Vasuki indicus? It is a 47 million year old 15-meter long snake in Gujarat's lignite mines. This is considered to be the largest snake, not just from the present time but from the past of all times. Okay, it is even bigger than Titan boa or Titan boa, which was considered to be the largest snake prior to the discovery of this Vasuki indicus. This Vasuki indicus skeleton was so huge that people thought it was a crocodile, but later it was found that it is not a crocodile species, instead it is a snake species. So, India's fossil record includes dinosaurs, earlier plants, ancient human skulls, and ancestors of whales and horses. In this ancient human skulls, the Narmada man is very important one, and Ramapithecus and Sivapithecus are also very important. Next, this record exists because of India's unique geological history, that is Gondwana isolation and later Himalaya collision. We all know that if this is the earth and if this is the equator, India, which is presently present at northern hemisphere or northwestern hemisphere, it was not so in the past. India was present in the southern hemisphere as the Indian craton, and later it started moving towards northeastern side, and it came and hit the Eurasian plate and resulted in formation of Himalayas. Okay, next, the current challenges are there is no national repository or strong legal safeguards. Fossils are vulnerable to theft, vandalism, neglect, or being sold abroad. This is one of the very significant issue. Collections often lie unsorted in private hands. For example, Rangarao had Obrifel Trust. Next is enthusiasts like school teacher Vishal Verma act as informal custodians but without institutional support. They are given few examples where private institutions or private individuals are playing an important role in safeguarding these fossils, but there is absence of national repository. And at the global context, fossils fetch millions at auctions. For example, Stegosaurus was sold for $44.6 million at Sotheby's 2024. In the US, 71 T-Rex fossils are in private hands versus only 61 in public institutions. So there is high market for fossils that we have to recognize. Fossils are increasingly marketed as trophies for wealthy collectors and celebrities. The heritage risk in India is that parallels drawn with cultural relief threats, for example, Buddhist shrine gems in 1898 later put on sale in Hong Kong, which was recently brought back to India. Lack of fossil laws make India's paleontological history or heritage extremely vulnerable. So, the critical analysis is the article says that there is legal vacuum, that is, there is no dedicated law and easy to extract, sell online, or smuggle abroad. However, there is an law, that is Antiquities and Art Treasuries Act of 1972. However, this doesn't consider or this doesn't include fossils in that particular aspect. Okay, next, scientific laws, that is fossils in private collections are inaccessible to researchers. When they are not inaccessible, and how are you going to conduct the research? So once lost, they erase irreplaceable chapters of evolutionary history. An institutional weakness, that is draft plan for a national repository has been included, but it was stalled later. Then museums are underfunded. Poor storage leads to cumbering specimens. For example, theft incidents in Mando Museum's Dinosaur X of 2023 show fragile security in Indian museums. Then economic incentive versus the heritage loss. international fossil trade is worth of millions and temptation for local sellers and smugglers is high. In India, impoverished locals near fossil sites see fossils as a quick source of income. And the global best practices that India can follow is USA, China, and Mongolia have strict law safeguarding fossil trade. Then national fossil registers plus digital cataloging and fossil parks. For example, in Zigong Dinosaur Museum in China, that can be followed in India. Next, the way forward. Need for a legal framework which protects Fossil Protection Act under the Ministry of Environment and Ecology or Culture. National repository that is establishing a central fossil museum come research facility with the regional fossil parks, and digitization that is create a fossil registry and database accessible to global researchers, and community role train and incentivize locals as heritage guardians, and international cooperation that is demand repatriation of illegally exported fossils like antiquities, and finally awareness and education public outreach through school, museums, and tourism. Next, there is an article from the Hindu editorial section that is India Japan ties, old partners, new priorities. Okay, we'll discuss why it is in news. It is significance for GS2 IR India Japan strategic relations. Context is Prime Minister Modi's August 2025 visit to Japan, where he visited Japan and then China and then to SEO summit in China again. The global flux is India China are tentative easing post Galwan attack. Next, India US Trump 2.0 introduces unpredictability. As a result, India is moving forward for other partners, and Indo-Pacific is quad coherence under strain now. Okay, because of Trump actions against India, it is undermining all the good work that has been done by India and US till now. Next, key takeaways from the visit. In the economic dimension, Japan's 10 trillion or 68 billion investment in India over 10 years, where it focuses on infra, manufacturing, clean energy, and technology. Next, high speed rail, that is Mumbai Ahmedabad Shinkansen E10 series, that is tech transfer plus long term economic stake. This, what is Shinkansen? Shinkansen is nothing but name for bullet train in Japan. Okay, bullet train. Next, digital partnership upgrade, where they focused on AI, startup, cyber, semiconductor collaboration. And finally, economic security initiatives, supply chains in semiconductors, critical minerals, and pharma. So, in economic dimensions, lot of things we discussed, and there is a good future for India and Japan. And with respect to strategic and defense, the revision of 2008 Joint Declaration on Security Cooperation, which aligns with contemporary threats. And main focus of India-Japan relation is with respect to Indo-Pacific, that is reaffirming free, open, rules-based maritime order. Next is India-Japan defense ties growing in parallel with Quad, bilateral exercises, arms transfer possibilities. And then we are focusing on geopolitical balancing. India engaging Tokyo, that is trusted partner, and Beijing, competitor in the same week, shows signal of strategic compartmentalization. Very important word. With Japan, economic and security strengthening, and with respect to China, CBMs, managing tensions, and cautious stabilization. With USA, uncertainty under Trump and episodic Quad commitments. So we are moving away from China towards our neighborhoods or our competitors as well. The broader message is Japan emerges as anchor partner for India in Indo-Pacific. Washington is unreliable under Trump, so we cannot trust them. And Beijing, a stabilization but not complete trust. Tokyo is the consistent, resourceful, and value-based partner at the moment. So India's diplomacy is flexible but strategically clear. So the critical analysis is it is strengthening India's Japan ties, that is contemporary economics and shared democratic values, that rules-based Indo-Pacific order. Strategic alignment, both wary of China's assertiveness despite their trade relations. and infrastructure model, that Japan is seen as quality investor versus China's BRI debt model. And the challenges are trade imbalances, that is still modest compared to India-China trade or Japan-China trade for that matter, and security limitations. In Japan's pacifist constitution restricts full defense partnerships. Post Second World War, Japan has followed a pacifist constitution where they are not focusing on building weapons, rather they focus on infrastructure, rather they focus on technology like robotics and automobiles, etc. Next, Quad fragility, that is US disengagement weakens collective Indo-Pacific strategy. But despite that, there are opportunities with respect to critical technology cooperation in such as AI, semiconductor, cyber and clean energy, and global supply chains with respect to diversification away from China, and defense industrial partnerships, co-development of naval systems, drones, space tech, and finally, people-to-people links with respect to education, skill development, and cultural exchanges. Third article, it is from the front page of the Hindu, which talks about Supreme Court on social media conduct and free speech. So relevant for GS2, free speech versus reasonable restrictions and regulation of digital media. What is the context? The case is called as comedians such as Samay Rana accused of making insensitive jokes about persons with disabilities, that is PWDs. So Samay Rana had a show called as India's Got Latent. It was very popular, it was very sensational in the sense that it was very controversial. As a result, it became more popular. It became always trending in the Twitter, it was always trending on the YouTube. But recently, after certain episodes, there were certain jokes which were considered to be very derogatory from the Indian culture, very derogatory for people or persons with disabilities, very derogatory for women, even women as well. So recently, he was accused of making insensitive jokes. As a result, Supreme Court has said that we need to bring a law to conduct and free speech. Petitioner is SMAQ Foundation. Supreme Court bench was headed by Justice Suryakant and Joymala Bagchi. The directive was, it asked the union government to draft guidelines on social media conduct in consultation with National Broadcasters and Digital Association, that is NBDA. Next, the key Supreme Court observations is that there is commercialization of free speech. That is, social media influencers often profit from speech, but also risk hurting sentiments of diverse communities. Free speech cannot become a shield for insensitivity. Next is impact on the vulnerable groups. Court remarked that remarks against persons with disabilities smash the constitutional goal of mainstreaming them. That is, it is against Article 14, 19, 21 and even CRPD obligations. Tomorrow, it could extend to women, children, senior citizens and minorities. Who is stopping them from extending to them? Next is with respect to humor and sensitivity. Humor is vital in a society, but it must not breach sensibilities. Vital, but not breach sensibilities. Balance is needed between levity and dignity. Next is need for rules with consequences. The court said the guidelines must clearly define free speech versus the hateful speech. Consequences should be specific and proportionate and not mere formality. Okay, so Supreme Court has given a proper directives to union government, and we have to wait and see what the union government is going to do. The constitutional legal angle of this particular article is under Article 19(1)(a) we have freedom of speech, but also we have reasonable restrictions on that freedom of speech with respect to decency, morality and defamation. So court said the comedian's freedom of speech is restricted based on decency, morality and defamation. Next, Article 21 provides right to dignity, and it was expanded to right to privacy under Puttaswamy and other rulings as well. This right to dignity of persons with disabilities was violated due to the jokes made by these comedians. And the PWD Act 2025 mandates dignity and inclusions of persons with disabilities in the society. Next, the judicial precedents is that in Shreya single case of 2015, it struck down vague restrictions under Section 66A of IT Act. And Subramaniam Swamy versus Union of India case upheld criminal defamation, citing dignity. So there have been precedents set by Supreme Court already. So the primary aim of the guidelines should be for bringing sensitization of the social media. That is awareness before punishment, and then responsibility and accountability for influencers and bloggers. And finally, framework to separate free speech, commercial speech, and prohibited speech. These are the three important articles from the mains perspective. Now we will discuss with respect to prelims perspective. The first important article or the topic here is about exercise Maitri 2025. What is it? It is a bilateral exercise between India and Thailand. Very important. Thailand is a significant partner to us in the Southeast Asia, which is a significant partner of ASEAN. Next edition, this was the 14th edition of Operation or Exercise Maitri between India and Thailand. It is presently being held at Umroi, Meghalaya from September 1 to September 14, 2025. Focus is mainly on joint counter-terrorism operations in semi-urban terrain, exchange of tactics, techniques and procedures, and company-level operations for better interoperability. Next, significance is returns to India after 5 years, that is last time it was held in 2019 in Tak province in Thailand, and strengthens India-Thailand defense cooperation under India's Act East policy, enhances people-to-people ties and regional security architecture, and builds interoperability between Indian Army and Royal Thai Army. Participation, the previous edition was Thailand in 2019 as 76 soldiers each, and India, Ladakh Scouts were the participants, and Thailand 1st Battalion 14 Native Infantry. Not necessary for us to remember all these things. This is very important, the strategic context. As I told you, Thailand is a key partner for India in ASEAN and Indo-Pacific security. India's exercises with ASEAN nations such as Garuda Shakti with Indonesia, Maitri with Thailand, and Shakti with France expand strategic depth, helps counter terrorism, transnational crime, and regional instability. Okay, so next important point or article is Vittal Bhai Patel. Why we are discussing? Delhi Assembly's 2025 conference highlights his underappreciated influence in shaping legislative institutions. So we'll discuss why he is underappreciated, what are his role in influencing social or legislative institutions. So he was born on 27 September 1873. He is elder brother of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He was a lawyer, legislator, national leader, and co-founder of Swaraj Party, among the earliest Indians to shape legislative politics under the colonial rule. Political journey. He entered politics before Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, winning a seat in Bombay Legislative Council, initially in Congress, but ideological differences with Gandhiji, especially after the Chauri Chaura incidents which led to the stoppage of non-cooperation movement, made him leave the Congress. In 1923, he co-founded Swaraj Party with Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru. Strategy: contest elections, enter legislations, block and expose colonial governance from within. So this is where the ideologies differentiated between Gandhi supporters and Swaraj Party supporters. They wanted to participate in elections, however Gandhiji was opposite to these elections. So this is where the Swaraj Party was founded. Legislative achievements was in 1923 he was elected to the Central Legislative Assembly. In 1925 he became the first Indian president. The president that time was nothing but Speaker of the Assembly. He became the first Indian Speaker of the Assembly. Ensured neutrality, discipline and effective debates, setting precedents for today's Lok Sabha Speaker's role. He is known for wit, sharp arguments and oratory skills. Symbolized the transition from mass movements to parliamentary obstructionism as a tool of resistance. Global engagement, traveled abroad to mobilize international opinion for Indian freedom. Died in Geneva, Switzerland in October 1933, where he was in touch with revolutionary networks. Legacy and significance. He is remembered as pioneer of India's parliamentary democracy. His role is anticipated the constitutional framework of free India, making legislators more representative and assertive. So he is a very significant role, but often ignored or often underappreciated consider compared to his brother Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Okay, next is about Madumalai Tiger Reserve, Tamil Nadu. It is in news for a very unfortunate event, that is a 12-year-old tigress died recently in Singara range of Madumalai Tiger Reserve after prolonged sickness. It highlights challenges of wildlife health monitoring at the forest human boundary. This comes in news after five tigers died last month or last within the last month in Karnataka or this particular range itself. So this increasing death of tigers in India is coming as a concern. Next, location and geography. The Madumalai Tiger Reserve is part of Nilgiri's Tamil Nadu area of around 321 square kilometers, tri-junction of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve, which was India's first biosphere reserve back in 1986. Boundaries: to the west, it has Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuaries. To the north, it is Bandipura Tiger Reserve of Karnataka. South and east, Nilgiri North Division, and southwest, Gudalur Forest Division. Elevation, it is around 960 to 1266 meter, undulating terrain. And river, the major river is Moya River, which is the tributary of Bhavani, flows through this particular tiger reserve. Etymology, that is Mudumalai is the ancient hill range dating back to 65 million years ago during the formation of Western Ghats or Nilgiris. And the flora varied ecosystem such as tropical evergreen, moist deciduous, moist and dry teak forest, secondary grasslands and farms. Vegetation highlights elephant grass, which is also called as tall grass, and bamboo, giant variety and variable timber such as teak and rosewood. Wild relative of crops, that is wild rice, ginger, turmeric and cinnamon. Fauna, herbivores that are elephant, gaurs, sambar, four-horned antelope, spotted deer, barking deer, black buck, wild pig, mouse deer, various herbivores are found here. And the predators are tiger, leopard and India's very own wild dogs, which are called as dholes. 8% of India's bird species are present here, that is avifauna. The conservation and significance of the reserve is, it was declared as Tiger Reserve in 2007 under Project Tiger, forms a critical part of Nilgiri Elephant Corridor, which is the largest in Asia. Linked to Bandipur Nagaravale Wayanad forest landscape, crucial for tiger and elephant movement. Home to Theppakadu Elephant Camp, which is famous for the Oscar-winning documentary, that is the Elephant Whisperers. Theppakadu Elephant Camp. So this ends our discussion for the day. I think we have learned some important things in the today's news analysis. If you like the video, then please hit the like button, comment on it, and also share your thoughts, and also share the video with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss a notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.